Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Civic platform politicians continue to run away from the topic of reparations. The group's leader, Donald Tusk, during a meeting with voters in Bytom, ridiculed the Polish government's efforts to seek reparations. Platform deputies decided to end the meeting in Wielkopolska when a question on the subject was raised from the floor. Meanwhile, the Senate is still blocking a draft resolution on Poland's pursuit of reparations from Germany. In the village of Karczewo in Greater Poland, one of the participants at a meeting with the Civic Platform politicians wanted to ask a question about reparations from Germany, but he was laughed out of the meeting by them, and moments later, the meeting ended. How about you say something about reparations? But this is not funny. At the end of October last year, the Senate Foreign Relations Committee was scheduled to hold the first reading of a draft resolution on Poland's pursuit of reparations for damages caused by Germany during World War II. The motion was postponed at the request of Civic Coalition Senator Marek Borowski. The Senate is not the place where these reparations will be settled. The fact that we will pass even 3 resolutions will do nothing. The government should deal with the Germans in an effective way, in a wise way. According to Deputy Senate Speaker Marek Pęk, Tomasz Grodzki is delaying work on the resolutions for political reasons. This is a typically obstructionist action, typical of this Senate term. I don't expect a resolution in quotation marks on the reparations issue to come before the Senate. It is apparent that this is an uncomfortable topic for the Civic Platform. Tusk will do everything to please the Germans here. Deputy Foreign Minister Paweł Jabłoński also called for a swift response from the upper house of Parliament. We have a long way to go for this road to be effective. We need internal unity. It is not only the topic of reparations that is being overlooked by the Civic Platform. In defence of the good name of St. John Paul II, Law and Justice and PSL senators have submitted draft resolutions similar to those adopted by Parliament. Senate Speaker Tomasz Grodzki believes the issue is without merit. If the Polish Parliament reacts to every attempt by this or that TV station to attack this or that important person, we will be doing nothing else here but passing resolutions in defence of honour. Senators of Law and Justice say that Pope John Paul II is one of the most outstanding Poles in the nation's history. He is also a very important figure for Catholics around the world. Senators from Law and Justice will issue a statement paying respect, honour and tribute to John Paul II. Recent opinion polls are unfavourable for the Civic Coalition. The result of a survey by the Kantar Public Studio, commissioned by Gazeta Wyborcza, gave as much as an 8 percentage point lead to the Law and Justice Party over the Civic Coalition. One of the reasons for this result for Civic Platform is its lack of a tough stance during the media attack on St. John Paul II. There are certain values for Poles whose violations and groundless tarnishing must not affect opinion in the end. At the beginning of March, the TVN TV station aired the report Franciscan III by Marcin Gutowski. It put forward the claim that the Pope, while still a cardinal, covered up cases of paedophilia in the Kraków church. A foreign station, leftist, hateful, from what I have gathered, attacks Polish authorities' moral authority. In defence of St. John Paul II, the first national papal march will pass through the streets of Warsaw this Sunday, April the 2nd. When today he is being dragged through the mud by those he defeated, we must not remain silent. One cannot desert. The hypnosis of the hypocritical media will disappear if we are together again as when he came to us. On Sunday, the 2nd of April at 11 a.m, let's meet at the Dmowski roundabout in Warsaw. From the 1st of April, Russia will assume the rotating presidency of the United Nations Security Council, the organisation responsible for maintaining international peace and security. The Council has struggled for years with its image as a paralysed institution whose activities are hampered, mainly by Russia.
Russian UN Security Council presidency on April 1st is a bad joke. Russia has usurped its seat. It's waging a colonial war. Its leader is a war criminal wanted by the International Criminal Court for kidnapping children. The world can't be a safe place with Russia at the United Nations Security Council. The Security Council is composed of 15 countries. Among them are 5 permanent members: the US, China, the United Kingdom, France, and Russia. Since the beginning of the attack on Ukraine, the authorities in Kiev have repeatedly questioned Russia's right to sit on the Security Council. Ukraine points out that after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Russia's request to continue its membership in the UN in place of the USSR should be considered by the UN Security Council and the United Nations General Assembly. The Czech Republic and Slovakia, for example, underwent such a procedure after the UN member state of Czechoslovakia ceased to exist. In the case of Russia, this procedure was not carried out, which means that Russia never formally joined the UN. Russia's exclusion from the UN is not possible possible without a recommendation from the Security Council, where Russia, as one of the permanent members, has veto power.
On Wednesday, United States President Joe Biden announced new funding to bolster democracies around the world amid criticism that his administration has made little progress in advancing human rights and democracy as a focus of its foreign policy. Biden announced at the second White House-led Summit for Democracy that he planned $690 million in funding to help fight corruption, support free and fair elections, and advance technologies that support democratic governments. He announced over $400 million for similar programs in 2021 when the summit was last held.
Democracy is hard work. The work of democracy is never finished. It's never laid down and that's it. All you have to do. It must be protected constantly. We have to continually renew our commitment.
Ukraine knows what it is to fight for democracy right now, and let our experience of preserving freedom during total war help protect the free world, each of your peoples. What you are actually seeing, this is deciding the fate of not only Ukraine, this is deciding the fate of everyone who is used to living freely. Democracy must learn to be uncompromising in the face of evil. The spirit of democracy is to find a compromise, but this only works for internal freedom in a given country. We should get rid of the illusion that compromising with evil can give something to freedom. The enemies of democracy must lose. And only these can be the basis of true security for democracy.
Rights advocates say that there is little evidence that the countries joining the summit have made progress on improving their democracies, and that there is no formal mechanism to hold participants to the modest commitments made at the first summit, even as Biden and South Korea announced plans to host a future third summit. At the summit, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky also pleaded for more weapons to help defeat Russia. Moscow's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022 has killed tens of thousands and reduced cities to rubble. King Charles III has praised the relationship between the United Kingdom and Germany in a speech to members of the Parliament in Berlin earlier today. Your Majesty, it is a great honour for us to welcome you to the German Bundestag. On behalf of the entire House, I extend a very warm welcome to you, the Queen Consort, and your distinguished delegation. In the 20th century, German-British history was a history of extremes. Great Britain made an indispensable and great contribution to the liberation of Europe from National Socialism.
This friendship meant so much to my beloved mother, the late Queen, who often spoke of the 15 official visits she made to Germany, including her 5 state visits. Britons come to admire Berlin's vibrant culture and nightlife, making up Europe's largest visitor group to this wonderful city. So we are still admiring of each other's culture, dependent upon each other's economies and inspired by each other's ideas. More recent generations may think as readily of the Beatles or Kraftwerk.
In his speech, which lasted just over 20 minutes and drew standing applause, the 74-year-old monarch repeatedly drew comparisons between Germany and the United Kingdom and emphasised the deep connections between the people of both countries. The King and his wife, Queen Consort Camilla, arrived in Germany on Wednesday for their first state visit since Charles succeeded his mother, Queen Elizabeth, as monarch in September. Over a 3-day visit to Berlin, Brandenburg in the east and the northern port city of Hamburg, King Charles will attend engagements reflecting issues facing both countries, such as sustainability and the Ukraine crisis, and will also commemorate the past, according to Buckingham Palace. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.